Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to SSRL Season 5, Division 1. This week, it is round 4. It is in the Portuguese country of Portimão. I don't think I've quite said that as smoothly as I want to do. But anyway, we are in Portugal, in Portimão, of course, hosted the Grand Prix seasons in 2020 and 2021, but hasn't been revisited since. But we'll go through history in just a second. We have approached the first full qualifying session of the season in both Divisions 1 and 2. Of course, Division 2 will be live right here, same time tomorrow. And it should be in for an exciting one. But for Division 1, this is the real test. It is the full qualifying session. So don't forget, in case you don't know how that works, it's 20th to 16th knocked out in qualifying 1. Then it's 15th to 11th in qualifying 2. With a top 10 shootout in qualifying 3. Now, looking at your standings, thus far, Andy RJ leads in Division 2 ahead of Moksha and fellow Son in rounding out your top 3, but the Williams doing an excellent job, not just in the Drivers' Championship, but in the Constructors' Championship as well. And happy affiliate anniversary as well. Of course, for those that don't know, it is my affiliate anniversary, but just to keep going, then it is Control, who has a full-time seat here in Division 1. He's 4th in the McLaren. Then 5th is Bastion. Then it's Rowley, Kajorg, Rush the Siri, Race Chase, and Quincy rounding out your top 10. Quincy back in the driver's seat tonight. He is not with me in the commentary box. Then it's Diego in 11th, and Drew in 12th, Quan 13th, 14th is Bosnian Helmet, who has since retired from his full-time seat. And then rounding out your top 15 there is Andrew. Then from 16th to 20th is Jonathan, Enzo, Tabran, Kavachka, and Energetic. Then outside of that, it is Sinful, Veroduco, Sir Ibo, Ingene, Maverick, I think that says, and then Daryl and Slayer. But anyway, let's go, because qualifying has just begun. Now, of course, like I said before, it is going to be an extended qualifying like before. And who is out? I think that is either Control or Jonathan. We only have 17, so we're only going to say goodbye to 2 drivers in this session, so we don't have all 20 here in Division 1. Who has come out of the pits? It is Jonathan indeed. Will lead the field out for the first qualifying session. So back to the usual format as of right now, but to introduce Portimão, it is a track consisting of 15 turns at a length of 4.653 kilometers, equaling to 2.891 miles. The race lap record held round here is by Sir Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes W11 back in 2020. Now, this track was originally opened in October of 2008 and costed a total of 195 million euros, and in 2009 Max Mosley stated that the circuit would be perfect under the name of the Portuguese Grand Prix. This wasn't fully realised until 2020 as COVID changed the F1 calendar. They visited the circuit for 2 years, and which was also in 2021, but then the track never appeared on the calendar again. Hamilton did win both races, and other series to visit are, for example, the World Superbikes, MotoGP, even the A1 Grand Prix, aka the World Cup of Motorsport, and an episode of the Grand Tour was shot here as well, just fun fact, and that was the opener where they tested the supercars around here. But anyway, back to current affairs. Let's go on board with Jonathan for a lap of the Portimão circuit approaching turn 1. It's a bit of a weird line through there. You want to hit that apex more optimally, then you get that little corner there, a bit of a short sweeper there, but locking up and going way wide of the apex there. He's not going to set himself brilliantly for this uphill of turn number 4 there. Open the first DRS zone round the lap, going downhill. Tried to brake earlier, because or else downhill will get you. Jonathan seemingly struggling with his brakes here, so he's going to have to look at adjusting the brake bias and pressure equally. Now, sweeper through here, and then it's this weird double right-hander, because you kind of have to brake mid-corner, so you can easily unsettle the car, but Jonathan keeping it all together thus far. Then you finally Admit that exit curb. Now you want to go right here. Long sweeper, and it's a blind right-hander. But again, like the last time, kind of have to brake mid-corner, and you can see the front right of Jonathan locking up there. That won't do his tyres any good if he gets through to the next session. This U set might not be any good for the race. And now, there we go. Long, medium, slow corner here. And then another one straight after. Left, then right. Very long time. But get on the power as early as you can, because now you're going to have a fun sweeper to end the lap with. Flat through here. Go as far to the apex as you can, and maybe stay as right as you possibly can, but he decides to go fully wide. The time set by Jonathan is a 1:19.751, but there is time to find, I would admit. As now the sound has begun to kick in, we go to Fellow Sun right away, sliding out of Tory Vip there, and now coming through to Samsung, which is this right-hander here, and again, lock it up, and I expect to see quite a few drivers doing that. It is a challenge to get that corner right, and then Control with a 1:17.8, nearly more than 2 seconds faster than his teammate, currently in second place. Of course, these times will go down as the session progresses, but at the moment, Fellow Sun trying to recover from what was second place last time out. Now, he had a DNF in the first round, so don't forget, he is on the back foot and is trying to basically play catch-up. His teammate Moksha is 3 for 3 in third, so triple threes here, as Kavachka is also across the line, half a second behind Control. But what can Fellow Sun do? That's second place, nearly a 10th. Rain in the race, says Quincy, so that is interesting information. And at the end as well, so we have a bit of strategy to play here. And in case if you are new to SSRL, well, first and foremost, very warm welcome to all of you. Welcome to SSRL, and if this is your first time watching League Racing, then welcome to Formula 1 League Racing as well. We have a mandatory 2-stop rule here in the feature race, which is 50% distance of the normal Grand Prix. And it's a very interesting rule because it's actually made everybody think about strategy. It was a bit touch and go for drivers when it first came in, obviously, but as drivers have settled into it across the two divisions, it's really become... it's really gone down very positively with everybody, so they really do love the fact that, you know, of course, that safety car element has been removed, because, like, you know, remember in past seasons, if you were here, like, it was always if the safety car came out, and that dictated everybody's strategy, but now with this mandatory 2-stop rule, it's become rather fun, and a lot of strategy elements have been brought into play, and Fellow Sun and Andy Andre have really been battling it out at the front of the field, including Moksha as well. I think Moksha is definitely the most surprised to be up there. Of course, like I've said before, three third places in 3 races, 3 for 3 for 3. It has been an absolutely great start to the season, and we're hoping that Moksha's pace can continue, as Engine there is struggling with the lines of the track. A few more drivers have also come in. Crank George with a non-representative, and Vero Ducco there does improve his time in the Haas there. He just comes across the start-finish line, and that's a 1:21.1. So the field at the moment looking a little more spread out, but here is your championship leader completing a lap. He's going through sector 3 as we speak. It's just coming across Sagres, and then he'll be next through to Galp, which is the long right-hander just here. Look at that, foot to the floor, and here we go as Control sets a fast time again, 1:7.555 there, and here's Andy Andre. Oh, beats that and some, as you would expect, nearly 0.6 of a second ahead of the field. Andy Andre showing why he's on top yet again, and that is a Schumacher domination almost, as Moksha's now coming across the line, but invalidated, so this will not count. So we're going to cut to a driver who's on an outlap. That is Enzo in the Ferrari, and Quincy is there in the Ferrari as well. And he's actually further ahead, so let's go to Quincy, see what he could do. Of course, the admin of the league. And I do forget, oh, as there is a driver off there. Oh, there's a Haas of one of either Ingene or Vero Ducco. I do think it's the latter, but I'm not going to focus too much on that because that is going to be a short-lived yellow flag and will be quickly underway. But anyway, Quincy will now begin his first flyer. No time on the board at the moment, and he is currently stated to be in 13th place. So here we go. He'll open the DRS. Across the start-finish line he goes, and the lap begins. So we have a Mercedes bringing out a caution in Sector 2. Short-lived yellow flag. I think that was for a McLaren in Sector 1, but it's all kind of all proceeded on without much drama. So we will continue on. 10 minutes to go in the first qualifying session. We do have the normal 3 knockout sessions. So from 16th and 17th, we will be saying goodbye to at the end of the session. And I do predict that everybody is just kind of waiting for their moment to pounce, because not many drivers have set a time as of right now, and I do think that's on purpose to make sure they can save a set for the race, which will be happening later on in the evening. And as of right now, it is gonna be, well, it's gonna be a long evening for some, that's for sure. But for anybody who's gonna be knocked out in qualifying 1, well, they can just kind of sit and relax for about half an hour, and they can just let things settle down and just wait for the race and try and plan something there. But anyway, as we come across the final couple of corners now, we're going to see Quincy set a time. And as of right now, this doesn't look to be very quick, at least compared to the top 3. He was talking about how he could have been near the top. It's a 1:18.565. That's not too far away from fellow son, maybe about where he wanted to be. But I really want to cut to his teammate Enzo, who's currently on the medium tyres. So only 2 drivers as of right now on mediums. And I do think that's on purpose to make sure they can save a set of softs for when the race, and, well, even qualifying, the later qualifying sessions as well. So it's all very deliberate here. And actually, Control doing an excellent job on 4-lap old softs with a 1:17.5. That is not a bad time at all. That's nothing to scoff at. And anyway, Enzo comes across the line. He's nearly 1 whole second behind his teammate. That might cause a bit of worry. But then again, some of the dropout times we're seeing, I would predict, is going to be about a mid-1:20. So I think Enzo might need to do just 1 recharge lap and then go out again for another push lap. Let's cut to the Aston Martin, who has sadly invalidated his lap. So let's cut to his teammate. Still on a valid lap here, but does have a McLaren chasing behind him. That will be of Jonathan, as his teammate Control is in the pits as we speak. And I don't really imagine we will see much movement from the top 4. I think Moksha, fellow son, Control, and Andy have set their respective times this qualifying session. And again, Jonathan in the background there, really struggling to meet the apexes. So something's wrong with how he set up the brakes. And I can't imagine he's having a fun time in the car as of right now. But we're looking at Rowley, who's kept it all together, but really isn't setting the pace alight. As you can see, that McLaren is very much sticking with him, probably trying to use the slipstream and set up for his flying lap, potentially. But here we go, Rowley across the line. It's a 1:21.0. That's not really a reflection on what he can do. Jonathan as well, down there with a 1:19.7 himself. What about Veraduco? He's just starting a lap. So let's try and find a driver who's yet to set a flyer. We have got Sinful here. As Moksha retires from the session, he just doesn't want to take any further part in the proceedings. So he will remain in the pit lane for the remainder of qualifying 1, and while everybody else tries to set a lap. But like I said before, don't expect, well, I would say the top 6 now. I wouldn't really expect to see much movement. I think things will get chaotic in qualifying 2, especially from 15th to 11th. So wait it out a little bit for qualifying 2. I think that's when things will really start popping off. At the moment, qualifying 1 has a bit of low stakes. We've only got 2 drivers really fighting to stay alive, and we still don't know who those drivers will be. We've got to wait for Sinful, Race Chase, and Pleasant Snake to complete their laps. Pleasant Snake, I expect to be out of qualifying 1, as was Race Chase. I don't know about Sinful. That's the only one I'm really questioning at this point in time. So here we go. Let's see what Sinful could do. He's just coming across the final couple of corners now. We're about to see him set a time. I don't think it's not going to be top 5 worthy. The top 5 are in a race of their own. Let's see what it is. It's Sinful across the line to 12th place. So let's go to Pleasant Snake here, who's currently 16th without a time on the board. We don't expect him to be in the drop zone. Pleasant Snake even is very quick, but as his rival down there in 17th, Race Chase. But I think he's also just, Race Chase is coming across the final couple of corners now. Indeed he is. The Kick Sauber looking very good at the moment, and it's going to be a 1:19.5. So now Pleasant Snake, all pressure on him, and it looks like InGene, Sir Ibo, Rowley, and Sinful are going to be the drivers in danger. So within the final few minutes, I think it is going to be those 4 that are going to be fighting, and I do expect maybe Crank George and Jonathan to set times. And there you go, Pleasant Snake to 3rd place there, 6/10 separating him from the top of the board. And Andrew as well set another time as well in the Aston Martin to send him up to 4th place. So those 2 are respectively safe. Enzo does go out for another lap, but he got up to a 1:18.4, so that should actually see him safe, as somebody else has improved from what I can see, because Rowley is now in the drop zone. I'm trying to remember who that was. Oh, wait, no, that was Pleasant Snake before. So now Rowley, thanks to that improvement from the V-Carb driver, is now in the drop zone. But look at this, Rowley on soft tyres from what I can tell. In fact, these are 2-lap olds, so he must have had a mistake on his previous flying lap. This will jump him to 13th. I wouldn't call that safe by any means of the stretch. So at the moment, the Sinful now goes into the bubble of danger. And Ingene as well, trying to improve, but he's 1.2 seconds down in Sector 1. And I think he's actually abandoned the lap with 4.5 minutes to go. Time is against the Haas driver even. On 1 lap old softs already. But now he should have another lap in them, despite the age of the tyre and how quickly they wear off in this game. Pleasant Snake is still coming into his in-lap, and Race Chase, I think, has got out for another lap. Yeah, I think he has. He's just started another one. So Race Chase not calling this at the moment. He really wants to be a lot higher up the field to call this safe. But I think the top 9 have now run their course. So they're just going to wait it out for qualifying too. And I don't blame them. I don't see any of the top 10 getting moved down into the bottom 2. Ingene, I think, is still on the lap as well. He's just started a flyer, but I think he's had a mistake. Yes, he has. He's pointing the wrong way. In turn 1, well, no, he isn't. He's just let an Aston Martin through. I think that's of Rowley there. No, that was Andrew, because... Yeah, no, that was Andrew there, just coming onto his outlap, because Rowley is coming around the final corner as we speak. So that's all said and done. So let's go back to Race Chase for a second. Looked like he did a personal best in Sector 2, so looking very good here to really improve his time. Oh, a lot of the track there has been cut and took some of the grass with it. Kick Sauber is becoming the fastest lawnmower in Formula 1, but here we go. Round the final corner we go. And I thought that was going to be a into the pits kind of lap there, but no, it's a half-second improvement, a 1:19.0, and that really should see him through to qualifying 2. And Ingene there having a moment in turn 1. Looks like he will have to go back into the pits for a set of tyres, but does he have enough time? It is going to be very tense. He needs about 1 minute 20 seconds to do an outlap, and then, of course, the rest of the session to complete a flyer. Let's see what Ingene does. He should just have enough time, but it is going to be very, very, very tight indeed. Rowley, I believe, is just on a lap. Or is that Andrew? Yeah, Andrew on another flyer. He's on an outlap. He doesn't really need to, so I don't quite know what kind of strategy he's pulling. And he's on fresh set of softs as well. Is he just trying to compare himself to the leaders of this race? Maybe we'll get a chance to interview him if he is on the podium come the end of this evening's proceedings, but we have got a long way to go before that happens. But here we go, Rowley round the final corner now, looking to improve on a 1:20.0. What is it going to be? That is a 1:19.051, only 8 thousandths of a second off there of Race Chase there, so that should see him through to qualifying 2 quite comfortably. Veraduco is going to try and complete another lap. His teammate is in the drop zone and into the pits like we predicted, and Veraduco very quickly invalidates the lap through turn 1. And now Sinful, well, and Ibo are currently out. So where is Ibo? He's improving by 0.4 of a second. This is not going to be enough if we're just basing this on Sector 2. Here we go. Across the line comes Ibo. It's not an well, it's a personal best improvement, but no positional improvement. And now Sinful in the background begins his lap, and Ingene really needs to hurry up because he is currently, I think, no, that's it for Ingene, and that's it for Ibo. Ibo and Ingene are knocked out of qualifying 1. No driver really needs to complete their flying laps. So that is it, and Sinful survives by just over a 1/10 of a second, but... well, they're going to still try and set some final fastest laps anyway. Now, you can't really blame them as Andrew now retires from the session, and that's just because he can't really do anything further. There's not really any point either. If I was a driver right now, I would just abandon the lap if I could see the full scale of the grid, but maybe they can't. And maybe they just don't have that information to play with. So we'll have to just see what happens. Of course, the crew chief in this game doesn't always give the most information there, but why is Ingene on an out lap? He can't complete the lap. He will not, well, he'll get to the end of the lap, of course, but then it'll be the checkered flag. I don't understand why he's left it so late. That is a very questionable call. from the Haas driver. And, well, we're going to be saying goodbye to one of two Haases. And now we're going to have to look at who we're saying goodbye to, potentially, in qualifying 2. As Sinful is now across the line. And that's 1.3 seconds improvement. He's up into 12th. What about Veroduco? He is down 1/10, but there is also a Ferrari on a flying lap. That's of Enzo. Let's go on board. Let's follow him, see what he's up to. Let's go on board, like I said we would. And up there by, I think it was 0.8 of a second there in Sector 2. This is his first time on a set of softs. So remember, his representative is at the moment on a medium. And look at that as he goes through. He sticks to the right-hand side of the corner. And that's a 1:17.750 there. And Enzo jumps into 5th place there, as Veroduco still down by 0.7 of a second in Sector 2. And Jonathan also down 1.4 seconds in Sector 1. So none of these times are going to be improvements. And I think these is your final standings for qualifying 2. So Ingene and Sir Ibo are the ones we are saying goodbye to in this qualifying 1. Remember, our first full qualifying session in Season 5. And then, of course, our next one, well, I'll just bring up the calendar now because none of these times are going to be improvements. Our next one will be in 4 rounds' time in Monza, and that should bring a hell of a lot of action. Then it'll be Suzuka, and then, of course, the finale, which will be in about 13 races' time. Boy, what a season this is going to be if the action is anything to go by. Anyway, we complete qualifying 1. We're going to take a little bit of a break here in the commentary box just to wait it out and see what happens for qualifying 2. We'll see you when the session starts up again. Just to actually go through your final results now from qualifying 1. First place to Andy Andre, then it's Control, Pleasant Snake, Andrew, Enzo, Fellow Son, Moksha, Kavachka, Quincy, Race Chase rounding out your top 10. Then from 10th to 15th, it is Rolly. Well, Race Chase, Rolly, Sinful, Veroduco, Jonathan, Crank, and the 2 drivers we are saying goodbye to, Ingene and Sir Ibo. See you in qualifying 2. And with that short break, we are underway for qualifying 2 here in Division 1. So, as of right now, we have just said goodbye to Ingene and Sir Ibo. Now we have to say goodbye to 15th and 11th. Who will make it out? You might have just noted there while we were going through the results of qualifying 1 that Crank George set his time on a set of medium tyres. Now, he was 3.2 seconds down on the leader, and he needed around 2 seconds to make it safe. So I imagine the cut-off point will be in the low 118. So as long as you're below that, you should be relatively safe. But already drivers have made their way out. Quincy being the first to go in qualifying 2. So he'll lead the field out for the start of this session. And the Ferrari team camp both getting through qualifying 1. So they're in a nice position, but Quincy will have to try and pick it up. And I remember him saying a few weeks ago, you know, I had the pace to be up there for the win, and that was all the way back in round 1 in Austria. You might remember if you were watching along with Herman there. I really hope he's doing well as well. We hope to see you back in SSRL soon. And I just hope you're okay, my guy. We really miss you, and we do hope to hear your wonderful voice here in Division 1 at some point soon. At the moment, though, Quincy very much I think he'll be under the most pressure here, because out of the two Ferrari teammates, I do believe Enzo has the pace to get himself through to qualifying 3. I don't know if Enzo has the pace for pole, though, and I don't think any of the Ferraris do, but it would just be nice for these two just to try and get some sort of result. If we have a look at their constructors' standings here, I'll just bring those up in a second. They are currently 4th. 49 points behind the Williams, but are in a genuine fight with McLaren, with 8 points separating them. So I think they're fighting for 3rd at this early stage of the season. But Quincy gets proceedings underway here, going through turn number 1, looking very comfortable indeed. And now through to turn number 3 here, up to turn number 4. Just a slight lock up there, but nothing that looked too dramatic. So he'll keep the momentum going. There's a Haas just getting out of the way. That'll be a Vero Ducco. Of course, his teammate was knocked out in qualifying 1, down in 16th. And as of right now, Quincy will continue on his flying lap. No impeding drama as of right now. There's just a Red Bull ahead, but that is 2 corners away. So I don't think Quincy will be worrying about that. As long as you can't see it, it ain't there. And that is, to this definition, very, very true indeed. And now through this confusing right-hander, it's very hard to pick a line through there. But Quincy seems to have found something there, which I may take inspiration from into another game. But anyway, and now he's just coming across the final 2 corners now. And can he find himself nearer the top step? Everybody out on softs, and that's what you'd expect, because now this is the business time in qualifying. If you can get out of qualifying 2, you really set yourself up for a great grid position for the race in qualifying 3. But here we go across the line. Quincy comes, that's a 1:18.405, but Control really hammering that by nearly a second and a half with a 1:16.9. Then it's Moksha with a 1:17.7. Jonathan comes right in, and I do believe Jonathan is in the danger zone here, as now fellow Sun comes in with a time which should keep him safe. That's a 3rd place with a 1:17.7. Who is next across the line? It's going to be the Mercedes of either Crank or Andy. Andy's still in the pits, so it's Crank George who will be across the line now. And he really needs to find something. 3 seconds off the lead in qualifying 1, and needs to find 2 seconds here. It was a 1:20 last time out, and it's only a 1:19.3, so he's not safe by any means of the definition. It's going to be a bit of a tight end for that driver, but Andy should be through easily, and Sinful as well. Well, he got through at the end of qualifying 1, but he wasn't never really in danger of being toppled over. It was really the middle part of the session where he looks like he was in danger, but got it all together. Rowley there with one of the slowest times at the moment to come out of this qualifying session, as now Sinful goes up into 7th with a 1:19.3. So Rowley in trouble there. I don't know if he's had some drama on his opening flying lap, but now we're seeing the Haas driver, Vero Ducco. Can he bring Haas into qualifying 3? Haas at the bottom of the constructors' standings with a mere 8 points there, and we'll go through the constructors' standings in just a second when we find a bit of a lull in between qualifying 2 and 3 there, because I forgot to do that yet again. Enzo right now invalidates a flying lap, so he's not doing too well at the start of this. Of course, a 15-minute session now, and we've already lost 5 minutes of that, so Enzo won't be happy with this. This is, well, at least this is his opening flying lap. So for Enzo, that's a little bit of solace in what's otherwise not been a good start. But I think that's Andy RJ behind him as well. He's just on an out lap, and it certainly is. So Enzo and Andy not separated by much, and now Enzo come across the final corner to start another flyer. Who else has just started? I think we also have Crank starting another flyer as well. He's just gone through turn 1, now coming through to turn 3. Someone has improved there. That's Rowley. He's up to a 1:18.328 from one of the slowest times we saw in qualifying to now potentially being pretty much safe in qualifying 2. Rowley might have just guaranteed qualifying 3 for the Aston Martins. Of course, Aston Martin currently in 5th, was up 2 positions after their finishes in the last race. I'll give you those results in just a second. It was a Bastian in 4th there, from last to 4th, and then I think where was the other Aston Martin? That would be Rowley in this case. He didn't attend, so never mind me. I don't know what I'm talking about. In fact, that was Andrew there. And Andrew has been swapped around here, I think. Because Andrew is now in the Aston... Well, no, Andrew is in the Aston Martin. And Andrew was also in 12th. So a good haul of points there for the Aston Martin crew. And that got them up 2 positions. And they're currently in 5th, as we speak, in the Constructors. So I'll, of course, run through all the standings again between qualifying 2 to 3. But at the moment now, we are seeing Andrew try to set a time and get himself outside of this drop zone. As now we're starting to see drivers come in as Andy completes time of 1:16.776. Andy, the current championship leader in the driver's standings, 11 points ahead of Moksha. Howler Williams would love to try and set some sort of impression on that. And Andrew up into 4th place almost immediately. Now Kovachka and Pleasant Stake are going to set some times, and that should set the grid up for what should be an exciting end to qualifying 2. Kovachka across the line now. He starts his flying lap. Pleasant Stake won't be too far behind, but let's focus on Kovachka. Go aboard with the kick salver for a lap of Portimão. Bit of a lock up there into turn 3, missed the apex, but manages to try and get a line together, and it looked like the rear end there was about to slip out on Kovachka there, but he gets it all together and is now going to this downhill. Bit of a lock up there as well. You can hear it in the audio, and there you go, gets through a-okay in the end. No real dramas to speak of. But now coming through this challenging double right-hander, you kind of have to brake in the middle of the corner, so you've got to set the car up to a point where it won't be upset and set that brake balance up perfectly. There's a Haas there who's spun round, so that's Vero Ducco just on the exit of turn 4, just on the first DRS zone round the track. And he's at the moment just getting underway, so no real dramas there. I think that was Pleasant Stakes passing him in the V-carb, so not bad at all there. Where all keeps going for everybody at the moment in qualifying. No crashes to speak of as of right now. But now Kovachka is now going through the final corner, and this one is called Galp, if I remember correctly. It indeed is. So now we're going to go away from the onboard and we're going to go to broadcast view, because Kovachka is coming across the line and he's in 8th place. That is by no means safe. But now Pleasant Stake, who surprised everybody by getting himself into the top 5 in qualifying 1. Can he do the same here in qualifying 2? And they should get him out of the drop zone. Pleasant Stake looking very comfortable indeed through these medium, long, slow corners. Medium speed, slow corners, they're very long. But here we go, flat out through here for the final corner of Galp. And we are about to see what Snake can do. He is in a 1:16.117. That's a 1:17.4. Pleasant Stake, they're up to 3rd. And he shouldn't really need to do any more qualifying laps there. He should be safe to get through to qualifying 3. So that's one of the V-carbs now up into the qualifying, well, assured for qualifying 3. But Kovachka, who's currently on a flying lap, but 1.7 seconds down in sector 1, that will be an abandoned lap, I imagine. And Quincy has come into the drop zone as well. He needs to find a way out sooner rather than later, but he's into the pits with, I think it was about few minutes to go there. Not quite sure. Vero Ducco, who had a moment last lap, has just gone through sector 1 and is 700ths down on his personal best. Remember, the delta in the top right doesn't compare to the session best. It always compares to your personal best. So don't forget that. Now, Vero Ducco is needing to find some pace through here. He needs to find, well, he needs to find a whole nearly a whole second. And Vero Ducco has got that completely wrong there, and I think he's abandoning the lap. So we're going to cut to Jonathan, and he's improved by 2/10 there. So a good start to the lap. Needs to combine something together here, does the McLaren, because his teammate Control is up into 2nd. And for McLaren in the constructor standings, they are in 3rd and trying to beat Ferrari. So they've just got to be careful here. And Jonathan might want to just try and get a few positions and maybe try and get into qualifying 3. So here we go. We're just going to follow Jonathan here through what was Craig Jones, now through it's the circuit's namesake, Portimão, as we have a follow from Saveda94. I'm so sorry if I've screwed that up, by the way, but I hope you are enjoying the broadcast, and I hope you're enjoying this first full qualifying session in SSRL. And now through the right-hander we go here. Jonathan trying to improve his time. Can he find nearly just over 9/10 of a second? And he's about to come across the line now. I thought that was looking good, but it wasn't quite enough. Half a second still to find here. And he is currently up into 12th, and his tyres, I don't think they're going to go any further. He's not going to surely try and do 3 laps on those soft tyres. I know Vero Ducco has done 4, but you can see the position he's in. And Rowley now is on a flyer as well. He's up by a 10th, and he could be putting Kovachka and Race Chase into danger. Both Kick-Sauber says Kvachka has retired. Oh, does he not have enough tyres to go into the feature? This is disaster for the Kick-Saubers, because Race Chase also needs to find something. Race Chase has just cut the timing beam of Sector 1 now. We'll cut to him in just a few moments as we see Rolly complete his second flying lap. And here we go, 2-lap old softs. And what can he find? Because he needs to get out of this bubble as soon as he possibly can. The track is evolving lap by lap. Rolly finds a 1:17.9, and that's up to 7th. So Kvachka in a whole heap of trouble now. And Jonathan, I think, has got out on another flyer. No, he hasn't. He's on an in-lap, but he needs to hurry up as soon as he possibly can. Fellow Son as well is also maybe not feeling safe, so he's got out on another flyer. He's up 2/10 there in Sector 2, and on the exit of Portimão there, just looking a bit uncomfortable on the accelerator, but gets it all together, and even there again. So these are only 1 lap old softs, so I wonder if the tyre life has already kind of chewed through its best this early on in their life cycle. But here we go, across the start-finish line we go, and well, fellow Son there finding 4/10 of a second. He's up into 3rd. He's safe, but Race Chase is another one to look out for. I don't think, yeah, he's not improved at all. He's remained on a 1:18.0. So Jonathan now is 2/10 down on his personal best. And, well, he's not doing enough. He needs to find half a second somehow. Kvachka with a 1:18.312. On an outlap is Quincy with 1 lap old softs. Vero Ducko with 4 lap old softs on an outlap. And Crank George as well. It is going to be very tight indeed, as now Vero Ducko has just started his his final flying lap. No question about it. There won't be any time with battery recharge for another flying lap. So this is all now or never for the Haas driver. And he's wide in turn number 3. And that's really going to ruin his momentum through Sector 1. How far is he down or up? Let's wait and see. 1.1 seconds. And for Vero Ducko, I think he should just decide to cool down his tyres and go for another attempt. But now Quincy, on 1 lap old softs, will begin his final flying lap. 1:10 to go. I hope Vero Ducko kind of tries to say, okay, I've got to cool it down. I'm 1.1 seconds down. I'm not going to find any further improvement if I continue pushing. We'll wait and see, of course, as now Quincy is about to cut the Sector 1 timing beam by only 800ths as he up on his personal best, and that isn't quite enough. So Quincy needs to keep the momentum going and try and find any small piece of time at all that he can find in these next few corners. Is looking quite smooth through there, the smoothest I've seen him all evening thus far. And now he's going to be approaching Craig Jones. Through to Portimão he comes. Does he get this right? That's looking okay, you know. That looks like he's really fully used the track to his benefit. And he's 3/10 up. He's done something absolutely magical in Sector 2. A bit of a lock up there into Sector 3 through Sagles. Now he's going to be approaching Galp at any moment. He needs to keep the lap together. It's looking good so far. Through the final corner of Galp we go through with 7 seconds to go. Has Quincy done enough to get into qualifying 3? For the time being, he has. But at the moment, we are still waiting for times to come in. Race Chase is approaching the end of the lap now, as is Crank George. Crank George now is coming through Sagnes as we speak, and he's going to be approaching Galp at any moment on 2 lap old softs. Can he find the time? It's not looking good for this Mercedes driver, but we'll soon find out if it's enough. Here we go. 1:17, 1:18. It won't be enough to get through, but he'll at least jump into 12th. What about Vero Ducko? He's made a mistake on his lap, so that is it. Quincy, by the skin of his teeth, will be safe. Rolly down 3 seconds in Sector 2. That doesn't matter. Enzo down in 5 seconds in Sector 1. It doesn't matter. It's Vero Ducko who's made a mistake on his final flying lap. It wasn't enough on 5 lap old softs. What do you expect? It is. We are going to be saying goodbye to Sinful, Vero Ducko, Jonathan, Crank Jorg, and Kvachka. Quincy, 2/10 on Kvachka, did just enough to beat the one Kick-Sauber. So, Race Chase will be carrying the green flag into qualifying 3. And now, with that session all concluded, We'll take another quick break and we will be right back. Well, no, we won't. Not just yet. We will go through the standings as well in the constructors, just in case if you didn't see them earlier on. We have the Williams on top by a dominant 14 points thanks to the consistency of Fellow Sun and Moksha. Then it's Mercedes in second, of course, Andy Andre carrying that compared to Crank Jorg there. Then it's McLaren there, so Jonathan really needing to pick up the pace because Control is doing enough, although Control DNFing from Spa last week. Then in the Ferrari camp, I think we have Andrew in here. No, we don't have Andrew in actual fact. So one of the reserves has taken over. It was of Quincy. So Quincy has become a reserve and he is filling in the seat for Andrew this week. Then it's Aston Martin in fifth, Andrew and usually Robastian, but it was Rowley on this occasion, so they need to actually go through something. I've just been reminded. Then Alpine in 6th, Red Bull 7th, 8th is Sauber, 9th is the Racing Bulls, and 10th is the Haas. And Veroduco, of course, seeing that he is in 14th. There you go. Let's see who is going and who is gone. Andy, Control, Fellow Sun, Pleasant Snake, Moksha, Enzo, Andrew, Rowley, Race Chase and Quincy are going through to qualifying 3, but gone are Kavachka, Crank, Jonathan, Veroduco, and Sinful. We will see those in the feature race, and let's see what they can do, because remember, it's a mandatory 2-stopper. So, guys, we are about to go to qualifying 3. If anyone has predictions in chat, who is on pole for you? Is it going to be Andy? That is a very sensible guess. Or is it going to be Control? Will it be Fellow Sun? Will it be Moksha? Can Moksha break the 3 for 3 in third? And can he finally get up to second or maybe even a win here in Portimão? At the moment, we are not very sure. As now, qualifying 3 begins with 12 minutes on the clock. I imagine we are going to see a flurry of activity here at the start of quali. So here we go. At the moment now, we are just waiting for the first driver to make their way. I imagine everybody will be on the soft compound of tyres. I do believe so. Everybody seems to have found a fresh set of softs from somewhere, maybe bribed Pirelli just for a little bit of money. And it looks like we've either got Enzo or Quincy out on the track, and it is Quincy who will lead the way for qualifying 3 on a fresh set of softs. What can he do? We have 11.5 minutes to go, and it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So now Quincy, of course, came in 10th in qualifying 3. Control will be on pole, says Sveda 94. Well, we certainly know where your support lies. First of all, welcome in to the broadcast. Hope you are enjoying this evening's qualifying thus far. We still have a 50% feature race to come later on, and we are looking at rain towards the end of the race, so it should be an interesting one till the very end. It's very similar circumstances in Spa. Am I biased in any way, says Fellow Sun? No, I don't think so. I like to think not, but I don't really know. No, Sveta. Sveta. Yes, is he biased in any way? I do wonder that. Okay. Interesting question there from Fellow Sun. Sveta is control. Sveta, your undercover has been blown. You might want to consider changing your name then. Okay, but anyway, Quincy now is going to be the first across the line. He'll lead the field through to qualifying 3. Just over 10 minutes to go. Let's see what the admin of the Silly Season Racing League can do. That is their actual name, I promise you that. And here we go. It is now into turn 1. And it is... looking very comfortable so far. Quincy, remember, did find quite a few attempts on that final flying lap to get him through into this session. So it has been looking very good thus far from the Ferrari driver. Through Sector 1 he goes. It's going to be a 22.395. So keep a note of that. I imagine this time may get beaten. Quincy does have these little moments of the lockup. I do believe that is due to the weirdness of the physics in this game, so don't take too much notice of that. The game's tires don't really flat spot, or at least it's not simulated in this game. So at the moment now, Quincy now coming across Portimão, the corner's namesake of the circuit. And now through the left-hander we go. And this is looking very well put together from the Ferrari driver. But is it quick? We don't know at the moment. He's just coming through Sagres even now. And we are about to see the completed flying lap and the first one of qualifying 3. Here we go. Moksha is not too far behind. He's currently in 7th, but anyway, Quincy across the line. That's a 1:17.9. That's his fastest thus far, a 10th faster in qualifying 3. But here's Moksha across the line. That's a little slower, so Quincy is quicker off the bat. A Kick-Sauber of Race Chasers across the line. He separates them in 2nd. Then it's the Aston Martin of Rowley who's going on to his flyer. So it's going to be Control next across the line. He's always the first to set the fastest lap. What can he do here? And it's no different. It's a 1:17.3 from Control. Also better in chat. Now we have the Mercedes of Andy RJ approaching the start-finish line, and he is incredibly quick. Can anyone knock him off this evening? Not at the moment. It's a 1:16.5, and he has trounced everybody as of right now. Andrew will be next across the line as well. Both Aston Martins in qualifying 3. What can he do? Andrew slower than Quincy. Enzo there not setting a representative there, so he's decided to go out for another lap to try and set a more representative. Let's cut to him, although we might have one Aston Martin begin to complete their flying lap. In fact, we do, so we'll cut to him in just a second. Let's see how Enzo does through these first 2 sectors. We'll cut to Rowley in just a moment. But as of right now, through the double right-hander, this weird one, he's looking all together so far, not having as many lockups as Quincy through there, and that looks real smooth. But Rowley is going through Sagres, so we're going to cut to him as of right now. But what can Enzo do through Sector 2? It's going to be a 52.371, but now Rowley has invalidated his lap, so this will not matter in the grand scheme of things. And so we will cut back to Enzo now, because he's the only one on a flyer. I think it's Control there who's just come across the line again. Control it is, who's on another flyer. So at the moment, they haven't set an improvement. But we'll cut to him in just a second. It's a 1:17.6 from Enzo there, beating his teammate by 0.3 of a second. And the Ferraris doing amazing work so far. Rowley there setting his personal best in Sector 1. But now I think we've got Pleasant State coming across the line. Or is that Fellow Son? Yes, it is. So Fellow Son about to start his flying lap. And here we go for him. Pleasant State we're currently looking at. One of the McLaren controllers had a moment there going down into Torley Vip. And this lap has been invalidated by the race stewards. So Control may have to come in again. And wow, I think Control is just getting desperate with his right foot there. Losing a bit of control there. But Rowley is now starting to complete his lap. And he's coming through this long left-hander. He's just gone through Portimão as we speak and approaching Sargler. And here we go. Through the right-hander he comes, and only 2 more corners to go before we know the lap time. The Aston Martin driver is going to set. Control is also coming through, but I imagine that's for an in-lap, and there's a car going slowly. I think that's a Pleasant... No, it's one of the Ferraris, but here we go. Rowley up into 7th place, beating his teammate by 0.2 of a second, but a large portion of qualifying still to go. And Pleasant Stake is now beginning to complete his lap. And we're about to see him come across the line now. Through this long right-hander we go. And let's see what he could do. So it's a 1:15, 1:16, or 1:17.558. And that's good enough for 3rd place there. Pleasant Stake really doing a lot in qualifying. But now Fellow Son's coming around the final corner. One of our championship contenders. It's going to be a 1:17.135. And that is just under 0.6 of a second to Andy RJ there. But Andy really setting the pace in this early qualifying session. And I think everybody's kind of decided to calm down a little bit. But now Moksha is on an outlap, and he'll be very disappointed with things thus far. He's five places away from where he would like to be. But then Moksha did say we shouldn't expect him on the podium too much as of right now. But anyway, he's about to start a flying lap. So here we go. Moksha opens the DRS for the first time. We're about to see him go through turn 1 in the Williams car. Braking very late, nearly making it to the 50 meters there. And now through the flat turn 2. Now for the heavy braking of turn 3. Looking very well put together thus far. Bit of a lock up on the front right, but shouldn't bother him too much. As now he goes to the first DRS zone round the lap. And that's 0.6 of a second improvement. This is good enough for 4th place as of right now. But needs to go through a couple of more sectors. Looking all together through Torrey Vip. Now flat left-hander through here, and now a long right-hander. You've got to break in the middle of this, like I keep saying, and it looks like that Williams driver is really keeping it all together very solidly. As of right now, through the flat left-hander through here. Now up to Portimão. Blind right-hander there. Brake as late as you dare and meet the apex there. Slight lock-up again on the front right, but that's 1.1 seconds up on his personal best. This is looking like a great time from the Williams. Williams taking the momentum of the wider line there through into SSRL, and now he's going to have to get on the power as early as he can. He gets on the ERS. He is going to be flat through this final right-hander, and he had control on an outlap. But what can Moksha can do on his flyer? It's a 1:16.8 there, 0.3 of a second off of Andy Andre. The times are coming down, and Race Chase has just got up a 10th through Sector 1. So Race Chase even starting to find some time in the kick-sale, but had to say goodbye to his teammate by a couple of tenths there. Quincy pipping what was Kvachka. So Kvachka starting in 11th place here. When we get to the feature race, but 3 minutes to go, and that was nearly a cut track, but that was 0.4 of a second there. Kvachka paid for the track, and he will use all of it. This could be a good time for fifth position, even if he keeps it all together. Control being the fastest lawnmower, Race Chase even being the fastest lawnmower there through SSRL. Now through Galp, what is the time gonna be? It is across the line with a 1:17.530, and that's good enough for 5th place, and that is 200ths there to Pleasant Snake, who's currently in the pits. But now Moksha down by 4 seconds, so it looks like he's had a bit of drama, so he's going to have to wait for another lap. Andy down 0.005 of a second in Sector 1, so clearly not much time left to improve there for the Mercedes driver. And he's clearly at the max of what he can do. He should get another flying lap after this, but his soft tyres are already 1 lap old. But then I say that, it's 1.5 tenths through Sector 2, and that should be enough to remove the deficit he got in Sector 1. But now Sector 3 is where it's all going to count for the Mercedes driver. What can he do through the final 2 corners? Here we go, flat through Galp. What is the time going to be? It shouldn't be much of an improvement, but that depends as well. It's going to be a 1:16.3, and that, to me, should be enough for pole position. I don't think there's going to be any challenge. Control invalidates his lap, but he's got time for another one. Race Chase, as well, it has had a bit of a slow one. I think he's just come off a flyer, so he's going to go and... well, he's going to have to go for another flyer. He's currently in 5th and he's doing an excellent job. Enzo there is up in 7th as of right now. And his teammate Quincy, well, Enzo has actually invalidated the lap there. But he's on fresh soft tyres. Does he have enough time to try and potentially make it through for another lap? It's going to be very nip and tuck. For Moksha, though, down a 10th in Sector 2. And Moksha here on a genuine flying lap. Or at least so it looks like, unless if he's got a bit more in the tank. But now, I think we're seeing Andrew come across the line here. He's 1.6 seconds down, and there's Quincy on a, about to begin his flyer, and he's got a slipstream from the Aston Martin, but Andrew is down at the moment, but I think he was also slowing down to try and get ahead, but now Quincy has traffic to deal with, and I think he's let him go, yes, so Quincy will abandon that lap. He must have seen what was going on as Moksha retires. A decision there that won't have been taken very lightly. Now, what does Andy do? Does he come into the pits? Yes, he does. He feels that there's no further improvements to be made, but fellow son is up a 10th in Sector 1 already. It's going to be a Ferrari that's first across the line here to complete qualifying, and, well, Enzo on an invalidated lap, so that might actually be, and with 6 seconds to go, Enzo has another flying lap in him, so this is going to be interesting, but fellow son is the one we have eyes on. 700ths up in Sector 2. It's not really going to be an improvement for position, so it's more of a personal best. Control as well is on a lap, but it's going to be one of the Aston Martins to come through first. Rowley is up in 5th right now, so a good qualifying for him. But now, fellow son, is going to be one of the first to complete a lap. Here we go. Is it going to be good enough for the top 3? It is! It's 1/10 off his teammate But more importantly for him, it is 1/10 off, so not bad at all there. As now Andrew beats his teammate up into 5th position, but now Control has had a horrible lap. Don't know what's happened there, but now Pleasant Snake even is going to be next across the line. 400s up in Sector 2. What is it through Sector 3? 6th place. He separates the Aston Martins. Quincy's in the pits, and Enzo is up by a 10th in Sector 2, nearly 2/10. So this could be good, depending on what his Sector 1 time was. Can he separate anybody? Can he separate the Williams? Can he take pole position? No! It's an in-lap! Oh, Enzo must have made a fatal error in Sector 3, and the Ferraris will start 9th and 10th, respectively. And DeAndre, your pole sitter again. And it doesn't look like anybody's going to be pipping him anytime soon. But Moksha there, perhaps the surprise of them all. And, well, the Williams maintaining their consistency like they've done throughout the first 4 weeks. What a qualifying session that was. But Enzo, unable to find an improvement. Maybe they're going to try it. Maybe Enzo and Quincy going to try and work together when we get into the race. Now, I just want to say there was an announcement from Quincy earlier, a couple of weeks ago, but we'll just go through the official top 10 as it stands right now. It's Andy Andre in 1st, Moksha 2nd, Fellow Son 3rd, Control 4th, Andrew in 5th, Pleasant Snake 6th, Rolly in 7th, Race Chase 8th, Enzo 9th, and Quincy in 10th position. And that is your top 10. We are going to take a few minutes to get ready, get setups all good, and then it will be race time. But let's take a few minutes to just breathe, compose, and remember, reserves will now score points for the Constructors' Championship. So that rule has been abolished. We'll see you in a few minutes for the race here in Portimão. And due to the nature of the fact that we will not have a formation lap due to bugs, we are going to be returning to the action a little bit early. First and foremost, welcome back. We've just witnessed a full qualifying session, and now we will witness a 50% feature-length race, and it should be an exciting one. We will have rain at the end, as confirmed by league admin Quincy. And, well, it is surely going to throw a few things up in the air. Remember, it is a mandatory 2-stop race, wet or dry, So that means one stop will likely have to occur on the dries and then a one stop to occur on the wets. And that's what I would be predicting is going to happen this evening. Portimão, it may be dry and sunny right now, but the rain will come thick and fast, I would imagine, once we get into the dying laps of the race. So, guys, if you haven't already, go put your predictions in for the winner of this race, and we will see how that all pans out. I am predicting, very sensibly so, an Andy RJ win, unless if something happens to him in turn 1. I predict Control to get second, and then Moksha to get third. As much as I don't want that to happen, I also do want to see try and maybe see Fellow Sun up there as well. So either Andy or Fellow Sun for the win, and then take it from there. But anyway, there's a feeling up in the air, and we've got 3, 4, 5 red lights for the feature. It's going Portimão, and it's a good start there by the Williams and Moksha, but it looks like Andy RJ was equal to it, and Fellow Sun gets an even better start, and now Moksha to the inside, but Fellow Sun uses an outside line, and so does Control. So now it looks like the Williams and Moksha is about to lose third. He does, and there's been a spin there. That's for Ingene in the background. Of course, was knocked out qualified one, but Fellow Sun on the attack early. He's on the soft, so he has to. Into Tory Vips we go. He's down the inside of Andy RJ. Can he get that done? Yes, he can. Even the Ferrari of Enzo has had a moment, so he's out of the top 5 now. Let's see who the biggest winners and losers are. As now, look at this. Fellow Sun to the inside again. Samsung Andy is force wide. That might allow Control with a moment to get through. It does. And now look at this. Round the outside of Andy. He goes and maybe down the inside of Fellow. No, couldn't quite do 2 in 1. And now Andy is down to third in this early stage of the race. Moksha down 2 positions himself. And now Moksha, can he try and get in front of Andy to try and cause a bit of trouble? Pleasant Snake up 1 as well, but Rowley staying right where he is for the early part of the race. Quincy up a couple of positions himself. It's been a rather good start, unless if you're Enzo or Ingene. Enzo there starting to catch up to the back of the field, so he should make places up sooner rather than later. But here we go. Andy to the outside of Control. Fellow Sun with the fastest up as he is first across the line, and that's all said and done rather easily. Andy back into second place there in the Mercedes. And there you go. So Andy loses the lead on the opening lap, and Fellow Sun now is trying to get away and try and dominate proceedings. Moksha trying to find his way back into third place here. Has been his favourite position in the grid so far, and has brought nice points for the Constructors' Championships in the Williams, who of course they lead by a whole 14 points, 99 points to Mercedes 85. Crank Jorg needing to really try and get a hurry up on here. But let's have a look at this here, because the closest battle, unless you count the lead of the race as well, is between Rowley and Andrew, the 2 Aston Martin teammates. There's been a drama. There's drama in the background. Veroduco, I think Enzo was involved as well. Yes, because now he's lost a bit more time. And Ibo as well is in the gravel. Ingene involved in another moment. And now this group are 4.2 seconds off the group in front. So that is disaster for Enzo. He looked so good, started 9th place, and now he's outside the top 10 and with no hope of DRS, even if he gets past Veroduco in a quick amount of time. At the moment now, here we go. As soon as I say that now, Moksha down the inside of turn 1 of Control. And now Moksha takes back third place, but does Control fight back? He indeed does. Both on the medium compound of tyres. And here we go. Down the inside goes Moksha again, trying to hang on to that place. Now Pleasant Snake wants a little bit of this. Let's go aboard with him. He gets down the inside of Moksha here. Into Tory Vips. Bit of contact between the two. Unintentional, I imagine, but Moksha holds on to 4th place, even if that was rather aggressive. And now Andrew might have something to say about that, but doesn't think about it going into Samsung. That is very difficult to fit 2 cars around there, despite what we've seen before. And Andrew now trying to get onto the back, but now we might be seeing a swap for the lead at some point soon, because Andy is now half a second away from Fellow Sun, and it looks like it's these two that will be battling for the championship for the next what is it, like something 13 races at the moment? It's an insane amount of laps, insane amount of rounds. But here we go. Rolly has found a way past his teammate Andrew there. They're actually going side by side into Sagnay's Sarglave, and there was probably a bit of contact there, or maybe just a bit desperate on the right foot. It is very difficult to know the limits of traction there, especially if your tyres are the softs and they're already 2 laps old. It's very difficult to control them, but now Moksha is going to have another go at the McLaren. Is he going to try for third into turn 1? Not close enough this time around, so he's going to wait for the next DRS zone, and he will be, I am sure, hot on the heels of the McLaren. And at the moment as well, just looking at some other battles that are occurring outside of this top 10, Jonathan has lost the DRS to Crank George in front. So the Mercedes teammate to Andy actually doing a good job of things this time around. Remember, everybody, there is rain at the end of the race. So they're all battling for position now because they don't know what is going to happen. Towards the end. It's still very much up in the air. Remember, mandatory 2-stop. It doesn't matter if it's wet or dry. They need to think about their pit stops early, and they will need to have something set in stone. They can't really wait for things to happen. So the soft runners, I expect to go on to the hard compound to go as long as they can. And I would imagine those stops will come within the first 7 laps. I do predict it to be that early. Go on to the hards. And the medium runners, I imagine, will try and extend this out for as long as they can. But, of course, they're now at risk of being undercut. And, of course, if a safety car comes out, then all hell breaks loose. But now Andy is close onto the back of fellow son. Will he go for the lead into turn 1? Let's go on board with the Mercedes driver. Not close enough that time around. So Andy will just slot him behind. But Moksha this time close enough for third place. Gets that move done into turn 1, and a nice move there from the Williams. And to be honest with you, the racing has calmed down a little bit, but we do have what is an insane, I'm trying to count this here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 car battle for what is essentially this position. You can see the cars there in the background of your frame as they all go through Tory Vips there. Exciting stuff here in Portimão, that is for certain. And at the moment there, I think Moksha has actually taken out a couple of attempts to the top 2 in front. So a fellow son doing what he needs to do here, trying to keep Andy Andre at arm's length and maybe allow Moksha to try and catch up. Although as soon as I say that, the gap goes right back up to 2 seconds. We have another yellow flag. I think that is for Ingene, it indeed is, who's had a moment there through Tory Vips, but has got underway again. So that's all said and done. But now, yet again, Moksha will be under pressure from control. Oh, Moksha with a major lock-up there. Has kept the position for the time being. But now, control might be vulnerable to Pleasant State behind, who should have the momentum coming out of Gulp here. And here we go. What is it going to be? Lots of movement there in the background as well. So we are going to surely start to see some positions being made. Rolly there trying to hit the jump on a couple of people. Control there, though, down the inside at turn 1 of third place. Moksha looks like he was forced wide, the Williams driver that is. And now trying to fight back through that long, slow corner of turn 3. Unsuccessful though. And it looks like Sinful and Enzo are starting to have a battle for the background. We'll just cut to that in just a moment. Here we go. Found the right moment. And now Enzo has just got past Sinful. And now Ferrari defending to the inside. No, in fact, overtaking down the inside of Jonathan. Jonathan holds on to that round the outside of Tory Vips. But I do think he's going to lose the traction battle. In fact, no, he is not. Because now those medium tires have come in. Oh, whoa! Nearly contact between Enzo and Jonathan there. My word, he held it round there for as long as he possibly could, but in the end, it was all said and done. And by the way, we missed this. I do apologise, but now fellow son loses the lead of the Grand Prix to Andy Andre, and it looks like fellow son is doing everything he can just to stay with a bit of a slidey moment there through Sarglay, and now through Galp. Can he stick with the Mercedes driver? It is imperative he stays within his DRS for as long as he possibly can. That rear wing opens up, and I do believe we will start seeing pit stops at any moment. So it's going to be very interesting now. Moksha is going to try and get past control and doesn't even need the corner there. I do believe Andrew as well is just making a move on his teammate, or thought about it, but I think Rolly went to the inside there to defend. And look at this, Quincy has caught up with this pack as well. So now what was basically a 9-car train has now become, well, as soon as I say that there, we have to cut to a battle for third place rather immediately because Control and Moksha are going side by side with one another through Tory Vips. Who's going to win the battle for traction? I think it's going to be Control. He had that outside line all secure, but now, who is braver? It's coming in Samsung. It's Control, and he'll assume third place for the time being. Exciting racing going on here as the Aston Martins go side by side through Samsung. How have they done that without contact? But look at Quincy. He's now going to have a go at one of them, I'm sure. And the Aston Martin cuts off the line for Quincy, so no real momentum could be taken through that corner of Portimão. But there we go, it's all said and done. And now to the inside, does Quincy look? Oh, the Aston Martin cuts him off very late, but he does take the corner, and Quincy does see that coming and will assume back into position for the time being. Fellow Son doing just enough to stay within DRS of Andy in the lead of the race, though. 0.8 of a second separating the Mercedes and the Williams, and we are approaching what is lap 9. And there we go, our first pit stop has been done, and it's Rowley coming off those soft tyres on lap 8, so a lap above what I thought they could do. As Quincy goes to the inside, bit of contact with the Aston Martin. Quincy into 6th, and now Andrew goes into the back of the Ferrari, and now Sinful goes past a couple of drivers, but Jonathan into the pits, I would imagine. So now we'll cut back to the battle for third place here, as now Moksha is trying to get his place back. Could he go 4 for third? We'll wait and see. Still a long way to go. 26 laps to go, but 8 laps of it currently knocked out. 33-lap race, of course, because it's a 50% feature race distance. And we are still waiting for things to happen as Quincy now up into 6th and has already got 1 second on Andrew there. And they are on the same compound of tyres, so I wonder if Andrew has used more life in those mediums. But now Pleasant Snake is being caught by Quincy, and Quincy is thinking, hang on a minute, I'm in a genuine battle for the podium here, and is surely just going to be rubbing his hands together and saying, here we go. We have a caution in Sector 2 for a Ferrari. That's Avenzo. That gets sorted out very quickly. I think that was just an off track, but nothing to report there as of right now. But now Quincy is on. Is he just within DRS? Yes, he is. He actually broke the DRS bubble in the detection zone as now Kavachka gets past his teammate Race Chase, because Race Chase is off into the pits. He's going to be coming off 8 lap old softs, as is Crank George, and they will come and serve their own pit stop. So what have the soft runners gone on to? This will be very interesting. We'll keep an eye on this. Medium tyres. I did not expect that, to be honest with you. I was thinking they would go with the hards, but evidently with the rain coming, they really want to be on the softer compound as soon as possible. At least compared to the hards anyway. But at the moment, we are witnessing a battle for the lead with Fellow Son and Andy Andre, and it looks like these two are going to be battling out for Division 1, but of course Fellow Son on the back foot after DNFing in Austria due to unfortunate circumstances, and has now been playing catch-up pretty much for the next 3 rounds. He did take a win in Singapore 2 weeks ago, but was only able to get second when Andy got the win in Spa last week. Now, do remember, we do have a 1-week break at the end of this, as now Fellow Son goes for the undercut on Andy Andre, and that's not unexpected, to be honest with you. That is what we need to see from the soft runners. Now, what Pleasant Snake will do, he will continue on, as now we are going to see a battle for second place. Control to the inside, so he's probably going to leave it late in the brakes, but decides to slot in instead. So now, what is essentially temporary second place, Moksha assumes that position for the time being, and now Quincy on the mediums has caught up to the back of the V-Carb and has caught up to this battle for what is essentially the podium. Will Quincy decide to cover off Fellow Son, or, well, he would be covering off Andrew and Rowley at this point, as now Andrew comes out behind his teammate. Does he get in front of Race Chase at the very least? He certainly does, but there you go, Race Chase proving how powerful the undercut is. And it looks like softer mediums is the way to go, but what will the medium runners decide in their first batch of pit stops? We'll have to just wait and see, but Pleasant Snake doing a very good job to look after these softs, bring them through 9 laps, which is essentially much longer than what they should really be predicted for. And he's doing an absolutely fantastic job. Gotta hand it to Pleasant Snake as of right now. Up 2 positions, but of course he still has a pit stop to serve. He's just trying to take advantage of the slipstream and the DRS. But now I do believe Moksha is under threat here. And the pack are beginning to separate out. We would love a safety car at this point, as now Pleasant State goes 1 lap longer, but will now go into the pits, as now Moksha under threat from Control into turn 1. He gets that move done, and Control assumes 2nd place for the time being. Kvachka up into 5th place, and if a safety car was to happen now, well, that would really spell good news for the Kicksauber outfit, mainly for Kvachka, not for Race Chase. He's all the way down in 13th as of right now, and he's beginning to catch the pack. Moksha there was tempted to have a go into Tory Vips, but thought better of it. As now we see the V-Carb of Sir Ibo in front. He's just come off his pit stop onto the medium tyres there, where Haas says Anno Aaroncrest, well, one of them is 9th, one of them is 15th, and they are involved in a battle with Frank Jorg, I believe. As, oh, wow, Injing there, very wide, and he's on 10-lap-old softs. Needs to get off these as soon as possible, really. He's just losing time to the other cars in front. And Crank George now up into 14th place, at least scoring a couple of points for the Mercedes outfit, but Andy taking the full amount as of right now. And I think Fellow Son has got a nice undercut on Andy if he decides to pit. So Fellow Son has got his first mandatory stop out the way, goes on to the mediums as he does. He was on the softs earlier on, and now, well, Fellow Son is probably just going to be on a mission to try and catch the top 6 here, and he's already approaching Enzo, which is 1 second away. Now, of course, Enzo had a moment earlier in the race, and he comes into the pits, but does Fellow Son get the DRS to boot? Not quite. No, his rear wing stays very much closed, and now it's 7.7 seconds to Kvachka in 5th. Now Control under pressure yet again from Moksha, and Quincy, well, without the DRS now of what was, I believe, Pleasant Snake. It indeed was. Now he's a bit of a sitting duck. He's just lost a second on that prior lap, and, well, hasn't really got anybody catching him as of right now. It's going to be in the pit stops where we see what his true position will be. But Sinful as well, having a good race thus far, not yet serving his stop. Enzo onto the hard tyres there. So the first driver to make that switch, he was on the mediums earlier on. So I'm a bit surprised that was his call. But now has the 11 laps old of Ingene to worry about. And he's on the soft compounder tyres. And Enzo making his feelings rather known. He just wants to try and find a way past, or maybe he's just warming up the tyres as well, so maybe that was a misinterpretation of Enzo's intentions there on my part. I do apologise there to the Ferrari driver, but his teammates are doing a bang-up job at the moment, currently in 4th, as now Moksha into the pit lane, and as to, wow, Quincy there, nearly going into the barrier, but rides some of the grass there. Moksha 3rd place, now pits on 12-lap-old mediums, so where does Fellow Son come out? I think he's going to jump all of them. He does indeed jump both of them, I should say. So Moksha and Quincy are relegated a position. Quincy down to 6th as of right now, but of course we'll wait and see as the drivers begin to make their way out. And I was just going to comment on how everybody's been doing a good job with track limits, and now Sir Ibo is just got his first 3 seconds of the evening, and Quincy comes out in 9th place, so might have lost a position there to Rowley, but I think he will get that back no problem at all. The mediums will last longer than those softs, and those softs have already seen 5 laps, and Pleasant Stake will know that they will not last long at all. Pleasant Stake has approached the back of Moksha here. Moksha just served his pit stop, so now the V-Carb will be looking to just apply a bit of something just in these final few laps, but Control at the moment and Andy needing to make their pit stop, and Fellow Son with a clear track all to himself. What does Andy decide to do? He's into the pits. Here we go. So now he's going to obviously lose the lead unless if Control decides to pit. He indeed does. What about Kvachka? He is going to be one of the last 2 to pit. Kvachka pulls into the pits himself. Andy on those fresh set of mediums. And I think Andy's done enough here. I don't think Fellow Son will beat him. There you go. There's Andy on your left. There's actually Fellow Son on your right. And Fellow Son has done enough. Brief yellow flag for one of the Haas drivers. And now Fellow Son is nearly 2 seconds ahead as Kvachka is in the pits. Control in the pits too. He's just come out behind Pleasant Stake there. So Pleasant Stake has undercut the McLaren driver, and Control loses out on the battle for the podium. So once Sinful has made his pit stop, and he's got Moksha for company. So now Moksha back into third place. There you go. Moksha timing his pit stop to perfection. Wasn't affected by the undercut of Pleasant Snake there. So, now Pleasant Snake with a bit more work to do. He's going to have to find a way past the McLaren of Sinful, of course. 10 lap fresher tyres as we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. I don't know what for in all honesty, but it is very short-lived. I think that was for Sir Ibo just going off track very briefly. But now here we go through this left-hander of Craig Jones and now up into Portimão, the namesake, the corner's namesake for the circuit. And at the moment, they're still kind of struggling to keep Control behind because Control is filling his mirrors left and right. Control to the inside here. And has he got that done? I don't think they made contact, but then again, I didn't get a good view of it. Ingene there with a 3-second penalty there for track limit violations. And that is, that speaks for itself. He's the second driver to get that, and that is because he's on 13 lap old softs. Get off those softs, Ingene, quick as you can. I don't show any biases really, but anyway, here we go. Pleasant Snake now up into fourth after having to sit behind. Sinful there. Control follows through only just though. He rides the curb, well, the sausage curb, and he has got, well, he's got fifth place by the skin of his teeth there, but Sinful starting to drag it out a bit longer than he probably should. And 14 lap old mediums. I don't know how long he's going to last. But now Rolly to the inside into Tory Vips. And that's Rolly up into 6th place. And Sinful really has no response at all. Losing time and time. As this stint progresses for the Red Bull driver. And Andy Andre as well has got into the DRS zone, or, well, DRS bubble of Fellow Sun there. So I don't know if Fellow Sun made a slight mistake, or I think he's actually caught up to one of the lap traffic here. There's potentially been an accident there as well. I think somebody, yeah, Ibo has got that all wrong. I think, yeah, he's in the gravel. There's 10-second track limits penalty there for exceed 10-second penalty, yeah. So Ibo there causing the yellow flags through sector 2 and 3 there. So not really been the best race for him thus far, but now Quincy as well has just come through Sarglay. And he might be about to make an overtake on the Aston Martin as, well, Control and Pleasant Snake begin to swap positions. But now, here we go. Andrew with no DRS at all. Quincy to the inside, back up into 8th place. And now Sinful will be Quincy's next target. And, well, you know, we all know the tyre life for Sinful. As, oh, wow, he got turn 1 completely wrong. So now he might even let Andrew through. And, oh, Quincy gets it all wrong, though. And now that leaves Sinful with a chance down the inside. Does Quincy have DRS? No, so Sinful might have another crack at him into Tory Vips. Not quite, but Sinful actually just gets out the way and says, well, Andrew and Quincy, you can do your own thing. I really don't care. And Sinful just continuing on with this painful stint. And Ingene as well, still on those 15-lap old softs. I don't know what he's waiting for. But he's waiting a very long time. Well, he's waiting for the rain to come at the end of the race. That's what it is. But it's really not working out. He's surely out of contention. Well, he's in the points at the very least, but I don't think Verodocco will be as kind once he approaches his teammate. But now Andy Andre has got a real crack at Fellow Sun here, his championship contender, excluding Moksha. And these two are in a race of their own as Fellow Sun now is going to try and set himself up for the right-hander there, trying to go around the outside. Is he going to go for the cutback? He indeed is. Andy gives him the space through the first couple of turns, but now through turn 3, Andy going to try and shut the door. He indeed does, but through the DRS detection zone, that was Fellow Sun behind. So now Fellow Sun might have a go into Tory Vips. To the inside, the Williams goes, and but the Mercedes doesn't have to cover up. A bit of contact there through the middle of the corner, but it is Andy through into the lead of the race, and that is 4-lap older mediums for you. So Fellow Sun might have been using the best of his tyres there, but now the clouds are looking grayer, and I think that rain we are anticipating is beginning to approach. I don't think we're far away at all. Little update for you in terms of pit stops. Ingene is into the pits, as was Sinful there, getting a 10-second penalty for violating track limits there. So I don't think Sinful has actually served that as he exits the pit lane. That is still hovering over his head. So that is very interesting stuff indeed. And look at that, Fellow Sun already 8 tenths behind as Ingene now just beginning to exit the pits. Ingene there with a 3-second penalty to serve at the end of the race, no matter what. He just needs to make sure that total doesn't get any higher. But here we go. Control on softer tyres, 1 lap fresher than the mediums in front, but of course we know what happens in the crossover. The mediums then become the better tyres, so it's up to Moksha to try and stay in front, well, stay within the DRS as Control to the inside in turn 1, gets that move done for second place, and that is very, very good racing as well. Pleasant Snake is on the back of this, forgot about him for a little bit, but has managed to get 5 seconds over Quincy, and Andrew there might begin to have a look at the Ferrari driver. Somehow Rowley has hung on to 10-lap-old softs. We don't know when the rain is coming exactly, but now Andrew to the inside of turn, well, what should be turn 5 there of Tory Vips, and Andrew gets that move done rather easily, but Quincy come back at him. He's currently in a season best of 7th place here and could be on for a very good result if things stay as they are right now. Andy is getting away 1.7 seconds. He is dominating Division 1 as it stands right now. Control, fellow son, nor Moksha have the response to try and match the pace that Mercedes driver has. And as we move on now, we're going to begin lap 19 out of 33. We are waiting for the rain to come. Andy sets the fastest lap of 1:18.9. And it is starting to become apparent he is definitely the favourite to win this race like we predicted. And my top 3 has somewhat come to fruition here. Just in a different order. I did say I think Andy would be in with the win. But here we go. Quincy is going to have another go at the Aston Martin, and he is back up into 6th place as things stand right now. But Moksha might be about to have a go at the McLaren driver, and Pleasant Snake, well, doing what he does best, keeping things at arm's length. But Ducko, or no, it's Ingene that's had a moment here. Into the gravel he's gone, but now we need to keep an eye on the battle for 3rd place. Control hangs on to it for now. They pass the stricken Haas, and now Pleasant Snake, well, just got a little bit closer there to the rear of the Williams, so maybe Pleasant Snake is starting to look at things and maybe try and have a go at the Williams driver before long. But now even Race Chase is starting to catch up to the Aston Martin here. This is for 8th place. Rowley here trying to hang on as best he possibly can, but Quincy as well leading this pack. So this is currently a 4-car battle for 1 position, and it's also a 3-car battle for 3rd place. Things are working in 3s in Season 5. Hello, Energetic. I hope you're having a good evening thus far. We're really missing you on the grid. Hope all is well with you. You have missed a good race so far, as Ingene now lets everybody through to get lapped after a little mistake earlier on. Here we go. But now Moksha without DRS this time around, so Control doing enough just to get in the way. So I think Moksha's had a bit of a moment as now Andrew gets past Quincy for 6th position, but I imagine Quincy will fight right back there. And Race Chase as well is also onto the back, but now we need to cut to the battle for 3rd for just a second, because now Moksha has stayed within the DRS zone for the driver ahead, and now we're on Control with a 3-second penalty, so he's lost the podium here. Now Moksha, if he keeps Pleasant Snake behind and this thing stay as they are, rain is on its way. Indeed it is, and Energetic making a point. We are still expecting rain towards the end of the session. 14 laps to go, but we have a caution in Sector 1. Ingene already on those intermediates, and he brought out the yellow flag for a brief moment. I don't quite know. Ingene did this last week in Spa. It didn't work out well for him, and he's doing it again here in Portimão. In fact, the rain has arrived on lap 20 out of 33. The rain arrives in Portugal, so we are now just waiting for pit stops to occur. The first mandatory pit stops have already been served. Ingene and Ibo take a risk and serve their second mandatory stop as early as possible, but we're on lap 21 out of 33, and who is the Rainmaster? Fellow Son might be able to flex his tyres. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. It'll be short-lived. It's for the Red Bull or V-Carb of Suribo, but it could be also the Red Bull of Sinful here. Kavachka and Race Chase swap positions as Race Chase is in the pits, I imagine, as Enzo as well. Let's see what happens. But at the moment, we have exciting battles up and down the field. Quincy and Andrew are still going at one another for 1 position in 6th place. It would mean everything. So there's contact between the and he's being pushed. Andrew is pushing Quincy. Don't push Quincy. He's the admin. You don't want to do that. Careful Andrew there in the Aston Martin, not really keeping his car under control. And Quincy will not be happy with him. And that should be a report going the Aston Martin's way post-race. 13 laps to go, and Simple is the next driver with a 3-second penalty. We saw Control get one a couple of laps ago. And now look at this, the driver's beginning to struggle with traction. And Fellow Son, well, if once Fellow Son pits, that's usually a good indicator to where you are. As the Haas there, I think that is on Ducco, it indeed is. But, oh my goodness me, once Fellow Son pits, you know you've made a right call, or you're just following him in. As now Control with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It is all going from bad to worse, as DRS is now disabled. It is officially a wet race. I would imagine to start to see drivers coming in thick and fast. Control being one of them, Moksha having to let the McLaren go. So now Fellow Son essentially will have a free pit stop. But what about Pleasant Snake? He might be caught by an undercut here, so he needs to try and keep the car on track and not lose as much time as he usually would. What has happened to Rowley here? I don't quite know. Okay, he's pitting for intermediate, so all well and good there. But Quincy right on the tail of Andrew once they exit the pits, I should say, as Race Chase undercuts everybody. Caution in sector 2 for a stricken, well, a short stricken. I think that is a V carb there. I don't think that's a Williams. That's highly unlikely. Or was it Fellow? It was! It was Fellow Son. My apologies. But Fellow Son struggling on the dry tyres. Look at this. He's drifting through the corner. We can't be changing conditions. It could be changing conditions that could have involved that contact. But look at Fellow Son. He's crawling around the track. And Andy RJ doesn't look to be struggling too much. While the Red Bull of Simple has had a spin going through to Portimão, but Andy into the pits, and Fellow Son should be in tow. Indeed he is, and look at that, he's struggling to stop the car as he gets into the pits. But look at this, there's Sir Ibo in the background. That's his teammate down in 17th position. And well, there we go now, Pleasant Snake into the pits. But what about Moksha? This is the one we care about the most. Will Moksha be ahead of his teammate once they get to the start-finish straight? It will be very close. Control is also not too far away. Remember, no DRS now. The 2 mandatory pit stops have been served. Fellow Son on the left-hand side. Control doesn't matter. He's got a 3-second penalty to serve at the end of this race. But now it's Fellow Son ahead of his teammate, as Ducco has got a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. I imagine those will start coming down thick and fast. Pleasant Snake down to 5th. And he just keeps it on track ahead of Race Chase. But those fresher inters should take him to the end. And now, it's depending on who you are. Oh, Simple has crashed out. Oh, no, he's just retired in the pit lane. My apologies. So what was 17 will become 16. No safety car required. But it is very exciting stuff here in Portugal. Rain has come again, like it did in Spa last week. Although there was only really 2 laps to really adjust to that. And, of course, a whole safety car period. Been nothing like that, but still as dramatic. Let's see what happens. Simple looks to have been the host here, so the game's having to migrate the host to somebody else. And it's becoming a very tense race. Remember, Fellow Son, king of the wet in Season 3 and 4. But now, is he still king of the wet here in Season 5? Well, we've got 11 laps to find out. It is going to be one heck of an ending to the Grand Prix. Do not go anywhere. We have still got plenty of action to come. 10 laps to go for Andy now to try and hang on. He has got about 7 seconds to hang on. But can Fellow Son work his magic? We will soon find out. He's got his teammate for pressure behind. And now we're about to see Quincy potentially make a move on Andrew there. Here we go. It's turn 1 we go. Quincy not quite close enough to have a go. So he's going to hang on to the... Well, he's going to have to hang on to 8th for a bit longer. But it looks like Quincy had a moment there through turn 1. Had to kind of really sort the car out through turn 2. But he's still within reach of the Aston Martin in front, as now Rowley has made up a position on Kvachka, and Kvachka fighting back there through turn 4. No incident to report as of yet, as Quincy still having to be behind the Aston Martin of Andrew for the time being, and Kvachka as well still having to settle for 10th in the background with Rowley as well. 5.1 seconds separating Andy from control, and it looks like Fellow Sun is starting to work that gap little by little, but it's not going to be enough till the end of the race. So I think that lead battle is all but secure, and I think Fellow Sun just decided to, oh, it's Andrew there having a moment, and that allows Quincy down the inside of the Aston Martin driver, and that through Portimão, Quincy up into 7th place. Not a bad job at all from the admin of SSRL. Now, Fellow Sun, master of the wet, might have been disappointed with the result. He said, did you call that piddle paddle a wet race? I may have done so, but now I'm sure Fellow Sun has different thoughts this week. This is full wet, and he's just made a second on, well, that's thanks to Ibo there getting this all wrong. As Pleasant Snake, his teammate, is behind there, and I think Ibo's just trying to get out of the way, but I think there was a slight scare for control there, but only lost 3/10, but it was enough to lose momentum as Fellow Sun is now within that 1 second gap, and he needs to find a way past ASAP. 9 laps to go as of right now, and it is going to be all a bit nip and tuck here. Just keep an eye on things. Things spaced out between Rowley and Kvachka. That's now got up to 1.3 seconds. But now let's see how things stand. Moksha still down 2 positions and would really love a 4th, 3rd place in 4 races, and he's doing enough just to be within that window, but Fellow Sun would just love to try and get this move done on track and maybe just try and have a go at Andy Ardre towards the end of the race. I don't think he's going to be close enough to try and have a go. I don't think he got Sagre quite right. No, he lost a 10th through that corner. Moksha also in tow, lost the 10th through there also, so it looks like there's been a bit of a struggle there for both cars going through that final corner. But here we go. Does Fellow Sun deploy the battery? I think he does, but then again, that is the rain light, and that is the same as the battery light. Not quite close enough to have a go into turn 1, and a lot of gaps are starting to space out, so the attention really turns to Fellow Sun, and if he can get past Control as soon as he possibly can. Looks like Control just has that bit better grip in the wet, although didn't quite have the momentum through the first couple of corners. Caution in sector 3 for one of the Ferraris. I believe that is Avento. It's now Fellow Sun to the inside of Tory Vips. He gets it done, and now 5.8 seconds separate him and Andy Ardre, and now Fellow Sun surely going to start to get a move on. He's helped out his teammate quite a bit there, so not bad stuff at all. As now we have a caution in sector 1 for Sir Ibo there, but that's all going to sort itself rather nicely. His teammate Pleasant Snake 13 seconds behind this battle, and now, well, Fellow Sun is already cutting into that gap. Whoa! Little bit of a rear end slide through Portimão on the exit, and now through the left-hander. It's gonna, well, he's gonna keep that position for now, but now through the right-hander, I think, well, it's gonna be very close, guys. Yeah, prepare to well, slot in your seatbelts, get your popcorn. It's going to be one hell of an end as we have a yellow flag in sector 1. There's Andy Ardre right in front. That's half a second on this lap alone. 7 laps to go. 5.2 seconds separate Fellow Sun from a second win this season, and what it would mean to get another win after DNFing in Austria. This is becoming one hell of a charge from the Hungarian driver, trying to take the championship away from the Romanian. It is going to be one hell of a season if this is what we're in for. It's been an exciting season already. And also the Williams trying to take away constructors. Look at that, 3/10 through one corner. It's now under 5 seconds, 4.9 seconds. And there's also battles happening in the background we will cut to in just a second, because Andrew is starting to get onto the back of Quincy, but Quincy is also getting back onto the back of Race Chase. This could be one heck of an exciting ending wherever you look. And could Moksha or Control maybe play a part and make Andy's end of the race very miserable there? And again, just getting a bit slidey on the exit of Portimão. Too much curb there, has lost a bit of ground through that corner. But let's go back to the battle for 6th place at the moment, because Quincy is underneath a second to Race Chase, and it looks like the Kick Sauber driver is struggling in these wet conditions, and Quincy is absolutely loving life. Let's see what he can do. He is coming through the final couple of corners now, and look at Andrew in the background there, having to hold onto his car for dear life. In fact, Control has a 13-second penalty to serve at the end of the race, so he will lose out on the podium no matter what, as long as Moksha can keep it between the white lines and not get any corner-cutting penalties. Fellow Son, though, with 6 to go, 4.4 seconds, as the Haas now has made a mistake, but they get underway again. And here we go. Quincy, is he going to look to the inside of Race Chase through this first corner? Not close enough to do so, so he'll have to hang on for the time being. And there's Kovachka as well, catching up to Rowley in 9th position there. And as we go through the long right-hander of Lagos there, and now Quincy looks like he's got a better exit than Race Chase. I think Race Chase was thinking about going defensive, but I don't think he doesn't think that Quincy will try it. Bit of a squirrel there from the Kick Sauber on the exit, and now through Tory Vips. Does Quincy have the better exit? He does, but doesn't quite get enough to carry it through for an overtake. But this is getting to be really intense. 6 laps to go, 3.8 seconds separate the leaders of the race, by the way. It's becoming exciting stuff through the final few laps. And guess what? We still have 6 to go, and it looks like Fellow Son is eating into that gap. And if you're Andy, what on earth do you do? You've got a car behind you's faster than you, and you're just kind of praying the inevitable doesn't happen, and you can hold it off. It's 5 laps to go. 3.6 seconds separate Fellow Son from the top step of the podium, but we are looking at the battle for 6th place. Race Chase gets that wrong to Sangre, and that could leave an opportunity open for Andrew as Quincy goes through round the outside up into 6th place. Not bad at all. I was talking about the battle for 9th, by the way, but that's been separated by 2.8 seconds, so it looks like a moment there. But now Andrew could be going down the inside. There's been a moment as well between Cranshaw and a pass there, so another mistake there, but it looks all well and good so far. But Andrew gets that wrong because now Race Chase is right there with him. Well, Andrew got through Race Chase there, but it looks like there's Injin gets another 3-second penalty. You don't want a safety car if you're Andy Andre. And at the moment, it looks like Andy might have actually sorted himself out. He hasn't lost as much time here as I thought he would. Oh, well, that, as soon as I say that, Fellow Son gains a bunch of time there through Portimão. So it looks like it's these slow corners where Andy is losing the time. Just doesn't quite have the grip in the wets. And we'll soon see how this all works out. But there you go, 3.3 seconds is the gap, and then it will be 4 to go at the line. I think it looks like Andy has just done enough. He's just done a bit of battery saving and has given us an absolute tease for the ending. So here we go. Or maybe Fellow Son has been saving. We don't know for certain. But this is becoming 2.9 seconds now, so I think Fellow Son might have the hurry up, but it's going to be very close, as now Andrew has caught back up to Quincy as well in the background for 6th position, of course. And here we go. So at the moment, Moksha's still good to be still good for 3rd. It'll be 4 third places from 4, yeah, it'll be 3rd, 4th places in 4 races. And of course, Moksha will be very happy with the consistency and more points for the Williams. But now 2.5 seconds separate the leaders with 4 to go. It is becoming an exciting conclusion here. We have a great battle for 6th place. Don't take this away from us. We all beg of you. And Moksha doing enough here to stay within that 13-second window of control. So it's all working out for Moksha yet again. But Control needing to work on his consistency with penalties. That's where he has been let down the most throughout the first few weeks here in SSRL. Andrew not quite close enough to have a go through this double right-hander, and in the wet, you wouldn't really think about it either. So he's just having to hold on for a time being, but now Fellow Son breaks the 2-second window between himself and Andy. So now, not too long to go, and there he is. Andy, well, Fellow Son will have a big shoot of confidence because he can see Andy right in front of him. He's getting closer and closer, but will Fellow Son be able to do enough? This is where he's strongest through these kind of corners, but the high downforce is where Andy gains back the time, and it looks like Fellow Son has got this all under control. With 3 laps to go, we have a caution in Sector 1, which will be short-lived. No real dramas to speak of there. 1 1.5 seconds separate the top two with 3 laps to go. Make that 1.4 seconds now. It is the Rain Master is coming through. It might be late, but it is making it great. And we are now approaching a very exciting conclusion now. It is all nip and tuck through every single corner. Andy is better through this section of the circuit, but it will be Fellow Sun that will come alive again in the final part of the lap. So here we go through Sector 2. Fellow Sun is weakest through here. But now through Sector 3, this is where Fellow Sun will find his time to shine. This is where he gains the time through the slow, medium corners where the Williams is strongest. And at the moment as well, that battle for 6th is also getting dangerously close again for Quincy. We'll cut back to that in just a few seconds. But at the moment now, it's this battle for the lead of the race as we have 2 laps to go. Andy has done just enough to keep him at an arm's length. And here we go again. Fellow Sun really needs to find something now. Maybe he's been battery saving, but we don't know for sure. Enzo with a 3-second track limits penalty. That doesn't do a whole lot to his race, just eliminates the battle between him and Kovachka. But it looks like Andy is starting to increase that gap. But now we'll have a look at 6th place for the time being. We'll keep an eye on that battle for the lead for you. But here we go now. Andrew really needs to think about this because he's only got 2 laps. Look at Quincy all the way to the right-hand side of the track. And look, Andrew doesn't really care. He's still going to have a go. I've Monaco'd you. And look to the inside of turn 1. Oh, my words. He thought about it. That's for certain. But he wasn't close enough. And Quincy there very squirrely into turn number 3. And it looks like this is where the battle is going to be the closest. But it looks like Andy has done enough going on to the penultimate lap of the race. That's how Quincy trying to break that slipstream again. But that's left him vulnerable through Torre Vips. Cautions in Sector 1 and Sector 2, but all will be short-lived. And at the moment now, well, Fellow Sun, I don't think it's going to have enough time to have a go at Andy. Because I think Andy has done just enough to keep Fellow Sun behind. And it looks like Fellow Sun has used the best of those intermediates. And he'll be very sad about that, I would imagine. So Andy will increase his lead in the championship. But Moksha will also increase his 3rd place finishes to go from 3 for 3rd to 4 from 4 for 3rd. But now Andrew here trying to find a way past Quincy, but look at Race Chase and Rolly. They've caught back up to this as well towards the final few laps. It looks like to me that Grant George will just finish ahead in 12th as well in terms of the constructors. So a bit of work there, bit of nice work there done from the Mercedes driver. But Fellow Sun, I don't think has done enough here to catch up to the back of Andy Andre here. And here we go. We start the final lap now for this battle for 6th place. We go back on board, but Race Chase and Rolly are also involved in their own little battle. And Race Chase gets a 3-second track limits penalty for, well, obviously track limits. So that means he's eliminated from this battle. And that means Rolly could take away 8th position. But now Quincy is doing all he can to hold on to 6th. He breaks the slipstream. We'll cut to Andy in just a second because he'll be about to take the win. But at the moment, Fellow Sun looks like he's trying everything on this final lap. Down to 1.3 seconds. It won't be enough. Rolly gets past Race Chase for 8th. Of course, that was already decided thanks to that penalty. But Andy has hold off the Rainmaster for the final 11 laps. Fellow Sun gave it all, but it wasn't enough. Andy wins in Portimão. Fellow Sun in 2nd. And now we need to keep an eye because Andrew has found a way down the inside for 6th place. Quincy is forced wide. Andrew up into 6th position. And now, can Quincy do anything to hold off or even fight back on the Aston Martins? And by the way, Moksha does confirm 3rd place here. And Quincy is sliding through Sarglay. But it's not going to be enough. So now he needs to worry about Rolly behind. And it looks like to me, Rolly might have the momentum here. A bit of a slide through there. Oh, Quincy's going to defend this. Good. Rolly to the inside. It's Quincy who takes 7th by 0.03 of a second. What a race. What an ending. The wet weather proves to be a turning point, and that was one heck of a race from just about everybody. That was an absolute That was an absolutely exciting end to the race there for all of us indeed. And Andy, well, he takes another win in SSRL. That's his second in a row. Can anybody beat the Romanian driver? It's going to be a hard battle now for anybody, especially fellow Shun and Moksha, considering the consistency the Romanian driver shows from week to week. But in the wet, in the end, fellow Sun still proving that he is the master, but just couldn't quite do enough to pip Andy from the win. Quincy takes the ace driver of the day. I'm going to give it to one that has been quiet, but just give me a moment here before I say anything. I'm just going to let things load in. Hopefully we get some sort of results. Just to follow through in just a second. We will have podium celebrations, of course, and there you go. On the top step again, Andy RJ, but the Williams secure second and third thanks to a large 13-second penalty from the McLaren of Control, speeding in the pit lane, and a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. And I do believe it was Pleasant Stake in fourth after all of that as well. And I think for me, he's going to be my driver of the day. Just because he just had the quiet race. And of course, Andy, well, he did a good job himself, held off the Rainmaster, and that would be a worthy driver of the day contender as well. But I don't think we're going to get those podium results that I so desire. And, well, it's all said and done. Anyway, we'll count down. Hopefully something comes up, but I don't think it will. But what a race to end on. That was incredibly exciting stuff. But the Williams as well, securing podium positions yet again. Alrighty, well, we're going to just take maybe a couple of minutes out, and then we will be right back. Okay, everybody is in the commentary box for their post-race interviews, and we're going to pop on the webcam and say hello. First and foremost, we are going to begin
every week.
We are gonna begin with our winner from this evening, Andy Andre. Congratulations on what is yet another win, your second in a row, and that was done against the Rainmaster. Those must have been a tense final few laps, but you came out on top in the end. How does that feel?
Well, relieved, honestly, to have made it first. It was much harder than I anticipated. I mean, when I saw that 8-second gap in the last tenth, I thought it was gonna be a comfortable win. I think Felson made a mistake on the second set of mediums because he lost about 5 seconds. I don't know where that time went. But anyway, 8 seconds clear. I thought it was just gonna be an easy drive home, but yeah, it was a lot harder to keep him behind than I anticipated. I started pushing very hard at some point, and still the gap kept shrinking. And by the end, yeah, it was less than a second. So I think if he would have had another 1 or 2 laps, it could have been the other way around. But still, happy to have made it, and congratulations to him and to Moksha also.
Absolutely. I mean, Andy, you are currently flying away with the championship. I remember, like, your attitude last season was just take it as it comes, and you were trying not to practice so hard. Has it been a similar approach this time, and it's just a happy accident that you've, come out second in the first 2 races, and now you're on first? in the next two?
I don't know, honestly, what's going on this season. I'm not used to being this high up early on. I did have some eventful races in the beginning of the previous season, and yeah, almost always had incidents or penalties or some other type of issues, and I was always on the chase later on in the season. But this everything has been going very smooth so far. So yeah, no, not used to being in this position, but I'm happy. I guess I didn't do anything dramatically different.
And just going on, obviously, we're now going into the week's break. So, obviously, when we return, I just need to be reminded of the calendar just real quick. We will be in Azerbaijan. So, what do you kind of expect coming out of that round? Do you expect to be on top again, or do you think that's going to be a little harder for you?
It's not one of my best tracks, to be honest. It has a lot of difficult braking zones, and I always struggle in difficult braking situations. I find it very difficult to release the pressure very smoothly. So I always, yeah, I don't use any telemetry apps, but if I would, I'm sure it would be all over the place, the braking release. So not too confident about Baku. But given the lead I have so far, I'll just be focusing on taking the car home and getting as many points as I safely can.
All right. Well, Andy, enjoy your evening. You deserved it. It was one hell of a race from you. And, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, see you. Enjoy the break.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow, actually. More than likely. I'll be back then. Alrighty, listen, I'll see you tomorrow, but then after that, you can enjoy the break.
Yeah, thank you. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Fellow son, master of the wet, but couldn't quite master Portimão. It was oh so close, but unfortunately, 9/10 of a second separated you from victory. How does second place feel in these circumstances?
Um, in this circumstance, it feels bad. Normally, I would be happy with second because I don't think I can catch Andy. I don't know. I think second is winning for me. Because unless it rains or he gets caught out by a safety car, his pace, like you can see, his quality time, it was crazy. But yeah, I made a mistake just before I went into pit for the Inters. It was really slippery and I just lost it. And I've lost 5 seconds. I was happy to keep it out of the wall. So yeah, without that, it would have probably been an easy win, or an easy win. In this case, it wasn't. There was one lap when I just couldn't gain on him. I was gaining nearly a second every lap, and then I think it was the penultimate lap. I couldn't gain anything. I don't know what happened. If he found some magic powers, or if I just got a bit too excited and maybe I was a bit too quick on the acceleration or something. But yeah.
I was just going to say, up until the rain came about, it really looked like it was going to be Andy's day and it would look comfortable. So were you kind of planning your strategy around the rain? Did you think, okay, I'm going to start on this tyre, then go to this tyre, and then just switch to the intermediates or the wets as the rain come? What was that strategy call going into, well, what was the strategy call going into Hungary? Portimao, sorry.
Yeah. Well, my strategy was to have 2 medium tires, and I don't know why, but I didn't have 2 mediums. I only had 1 medium. So I thought maybe I'll go on soft medium and then we'll see if the rain comes. I really wanted to pit like lap 5 from the softs, but for some reason I managed to keep Andy's pace. So I went a bit longer, and then the rain came in a fairly good time for me. It's just a shame that I didn't pit 1 lap earlier. I should have pitted 1 lap earlier. But it got really slippery very quickly. Normally, you have like 2-3 laps of rain before it starts to become a problem. I felt like this time it was very quick.
All right, and now obviously, well, I'll be seeing you tomorrow, more than likely. But just focusing on Division 1 for 2 seconds, obviously it's going to be a 2-week break from here. We are then going to be going into Baku. Now, you've just heard from Andy that it's not going to be his best track. What about Baku for you?
I used to love Baku back in F1 22 when the traction was a lot harder. For some reason, I was really good. But every single league race that I had in Baku, I DNF in the same corner, pretty much the exact same way. So I'm not looking forward to it. Maybe it will change my luck, but historically, I'm not very good there.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks' time. Fellow son, thank you very much for taking time out of your evening for the interviews. And, well, I'll see you tomorrow for Division 2.
Hope to see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye for now. Moksha, well, we see you on the podium again in a familiar 3rd place. You are now 4 from 4 for 3rd place. You said you wouldn't be here again, but yet here you are again.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really expecting it because we have so many fast riders in Division 1, and I was kind of lucky that Andrew and
Oh, I'm really sorry. We can't quite hear you. You sound a bit distant.
Okay, wait a second. Let me try something.
Sure.
So I hope it's better now.
There we go. That's much clearer. So, yeah, if you could just restart your answer there, where you are now 4 from 4 in 3rd. You said you weren't going to be here very often, but yet here you are again.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I mean, Andrew and Rob didn't start. They're 2 fast drivers, and yeah, I was lucky for control for the penalty in the pit stop. Otherwise, he would be faster than me. And also, Pleasant Snake did stop at the wrong time. I mean, he was extending 1 lap in comparison, so he wasn't there anymore after the pit stop. So otherwise, he could be a threat also. I mean, he drove a really good race, and yeah, not expecting it, but I take it, and I'm very happy. And also, Williams double podium again. I mean, that's good point.
Absolutely. And I guess just going forward, obviously, how long can we expect you to see it on the podium this season? Is this going to be the end of it for a little bit, or do you think you can probably continue on from here on out?
I mean, there are some good tracks for me upcoming. I love Hungary. I love Baku. Usually I got quite pacey there, but it's hard to predict now. Yeah, but I try to do it again, but I'm not sure if I can do it.
All right then. Oh, obviously the next track going in is Baku. How is that feeling for you? You've heard Andy say, "Well, look, that's not my best track." What about you?
Yeah, I hope he's not sandbagging, because he always tells us, "Oh no, I'm not that fast," and then he run with a, I don't know, 16.3 in the qualifying, half a second faster than everybody else. I don't believe him, to be honest, because he's really fast. I mean, everywhere. So yeah, let's wait and see. I mean, I take it if he's not on the top, but I don't believe it.
All right then. Well, look, Moksha, thank you so much for taking our questions. We may see you tomorrow in this exact same position, but otherwise, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here for another evening of questions, and we hope that this can continue.
Yeah, thanks. See you tomorrow, Dave.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. And with that, we wrap up another week of SSRL racing. It has been an absolute classic race, dry for 23 laps and then wet for the last 10. And fellow son, not quite able to do enough to knock Andy off his coveted top spot. I will leave you now to see you yet again tomorrow. We are still waiting for the return of fellow son. No, Herman the German. He hopefully is doing well. Herman, we pass on our best wishes to you if you are watching, whether that's right now lurking or if you're VOD watching later on. Hopefully, obviously, tomorrow I'll see you again for Division 2. But in terms of Division 1, in a couple of weeks' time, I will be live all the way in the United States. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes in terms of ping. But anyway, for tonight, that is all from all of us. For everybody at SSRL, including the admins, the stewards, and the drivers, we thank you all for watching tonight. And from all of us, from wherever you may be in the world, wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive. See you tomorrow, same time, for Division 2. Bye for now.